please welcome Matthew McConaughey. Happy 51st birthday. I just turned 50. How you feeling at 51?
I'm feeling good. I mean, I'm solidly into the 50s now, so now I'm like, yes. And last year, the 50th year was an incredible year. And thank you for that wonderful introduction.
I mean it. I mean every word. I mean, you're thanking me now, but I don't know, because I've got to tell you, I think I owe you some money, because you have a chapter on losing money betting on the Buffalo Bills. Now, I was friendly with a gentleman who played for the Bills, and I didn't even bet on them. As a Texan, how do you go against the Cowboys, and how do you put it in writing, Matthew, that you lost money betting against our boys?
I know. Well, actually, it's very odd for me as a Texan who's grown up in Texas, then grew up in Longview, just outside of Dallas. Listen to this. I have always, since 4 years old, been a Washington football team, formerly called the Washington Redskins fan.
That
hurts.
I
was the only one in Texas.
That hurts.
I know. And I've told the Joneses, Jerry and Charlotte Jones know. I've told them, I said it was because I was watching Westerns with my dad, and I was rooting for the American Indians instead of the Cowboys. And mainly it was because at 4 years old, my favorite food was hamburgers, and the Washington football team, formerly known as the Washington Redskins, had a middle linebacker named Chris Hamburger.
I remember.
So when you're 4 years old, that.
Oh, my God. That's not a good enough reason. But because I love you, I'll let you off the hook on that. But let's talk about this memoir, because you start out by saying you don't want to preach, that you're not here to look back. But I feel that this was an unwitting masterclass for people. First of all, the whole time I'm reading it, I can hear your voice, and my Texas accent came out. But this is a collection of your experiences over life. But you end up doing, I feel, Matthew, exactly what you said you didn't want to do, which it is preaching. You are telling the truth. You are bringing it to the masses.
Heard. I mean, yeah, I can't get... I evangel good. I mean, I evangel whether I know it or not, I suppose. What I meant by that, the preaching thing is sort of like, I part and parcel that with advice sometimes. Like, look, no one really likes to be told what to do. And sometimes I know when you as much as I love to preach, I don't like to be told what to do. Yeah. And so I tried to serve it up in ways that, yes, it was very personal to me, but hopefully, as you're saying it was for you, it's very relatable to other people, and they can see themselves in the stories.
I know you write about Dazed and Confused, and that moment, I actually even equate it to Hamilton when I'm not giving away my shot, because you talk about going in and you have a bit role, but you see this opening and you take that shot. First of all, that picture is so handsome, and I don't know if that was Wella Balsam. Listen, I don't know if that was Wella Balsam or what kind of shampoo, but let me tell you, the blonde was in place, brother. This is this moment that everyone now has as your calling card, but it's the story behind it, Matthew, that taking that shot and owning that scene where you ended up on the set much longer than you thought you would.
Absolutely. There were 3 lines written originally in that role. And one of them was a great line. It's not in the 2 scenes you played, but it's what I call a launch pad line. Sometimes you get a line in a script that you go, oh, if this character is really about that, then there's an encyclopedia this thick on who this person is. And that the line in the script that told me who Wooderson was a scene where Wooderson, this guy who's hanging out at high school, trying to pick up on the high school chicks. The freshmen walk by, he asks his buddy, he says, how's this year's crop of freshman chicks looking? His buddy says, Wooderson, you got to quit thinking that way. You're going to go to jail. And then he says, no, man, that's what I love about those high school girls, man. I get older, but they say the same age. Well, I read that line. I was like, who is this guy? And so the rest of it sort of just opened up. And, that all right line is the first 3 words I ever said on film.
Wow.
Tamron.
Here you are, you're the breakout from this film. At the same time, you lose your father. And so you have this moment in life where you're at this high point, and then the wind beneath your wings is gone. It forced you to reset and realign your priorities.
It forced me to man up and start activating my priorities and really have the courage to live out the values that he had taught me and instilled in me. But at the same time, 21 years old, he's still alive. I'm kind of relying on him to have my back if I fall. I'm relying on him to pick me up if I stumble. Well, all of a sudden he passes on, he moves on from this life. And that safety net, that crutch, maybe where I was relying on him, maybe the fact that he was alive, I was only making C minuses in my values. Okay. But then he's gone. I'm like, whoa. Okay, Matthew, you better stand up, get your head high and your heart high, and start walking through the world with the courage to activate those values that your father taught you.
You open the book with just a list of things from your life, and obviously one of the most jarring parts of the open of this book, you talk about being blackmailed into having sex for the first time at 15, and then you go on to say you were molested by someone at 18 while knocked unconscious in the back of the van. You never in the memoir detail those events. You leave it there. I'm curious, why didn't you go into more details?
Yeah, good question. Ultimately, there's nothing that I feel is constructive about the details. I feel like those details, unless I had a really good constructive way that I saw it, that could be relatable to other people, I felt like those details could have just been grabbed to be purported for voyeurism. Yeah. They could have been the thing that every single show was going to go, read about the details of when Matthew was molested, or read about when he got blackmailed. Yeah. And that's the wrong headline, because I write also in the book, I've never felt like a victim.
As I read the book, that part did stop me, because I thought, listen, we so many times are victims of things, whatever it is, but it doesn't define the total sum of your journey. And I felt like by the end of the book, I knew you and understood you, even though I said to my producers, we're around the same age. We both grew up in Texas. You jumped off in a car and headed out west. I headed out east in a red convertible, stopping along the way, 27-hour drive by myself with a dog. And you go on this crazy journey, but you hope at the end of the day, no one thing is the total sum of that journey.
Absolutely. I mean, those two events happened to me at 15 and 18. If they would have happened to me younger, if they would have confused, maybe I would have been more confused younger. But when they happened to me, it was very clear to me that they were wrong, that they were not ideal, that they were not how it's supposed to be. So I think having that clarity means that it is probably why it didn't stick with me and confuse me later on, or have me or left me having a non-realistic view of the way the world is supposed to work. If it had happened much younger, maybe I would have had a confusion, and it would have stuck with me and been something I had to work out. But maybe because I was clear that those were wrong, and that's not how life's supposed to go, and that's not how I was going to continue with it. Maybe that's why it didn't really stick with me, or I didn't have to go work it out